in time.
How we're being treated.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what's wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, that being said, this is basically just a backup, but we'll we can try and share that.
Yeah.
Fuck off. Yeah. So whenever you're ready.
Do a test first, just to make sure.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, here's a fucking trash bag. Oh my god.
We're here at jail support with Jarrid. He's going to speak out about what happened, about our free speech, if we're free or not. Do you feel free? We'll find out. Your parents are more free than you are, just to let you know. Our freedoms are whittled away from the left and the right.
No. But thank you for asking. Oh my bad.
Oh, you're good. We have
Do you want to be in the shot?
Yeah.
Is there more water bottles over here?
My name? Back.
Can we stand back a little bit?
Julian.
Julian?
Julian, yeah.
Nice to meet you.
This is the
And
ex.
a little bit this
Oh,
way.
he's
Yeah, you can cut her if you want.
Oh, she's.
Sorry.
I did want to touch her, but I didn't want to.
I saw you earlier when she was running. She was
Yeah.
running.
What is
Crazy girl today. Like 5 o'clock, they're done. They don't party late. Just go to sleep. If they get
Does
lost,
she like cuddle you?
a little bit. If they get lost at night, they're gonna find some place to cuddle into. You know, and take a little spot under some leaves. They don't run around that much at night. They're diurnal.
Ah.
Oh.
Beckett? That's perfect. Just
Okay.
It's nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you. Sorry.
Yeah, no, no.
I was
No,
thinking.
Yeah. And I sell them. I have some bearded dragons for sale if you know anybody. I gotta
Step that way.
lower my
Your left.
responsibility.
Gotcha.
I got too many.
Okay, okay.
I bred her from an egg. So
Okay.
I raised them. I breed them. Yeah.
That's your baby.
That's my baby. Yeah. I felt like a mama bird.
You are a mama.
It takes like a month or two to like incubate the eggs,
Oh
and
my
you gotta watch
God.
them every day.
Wow.
It is Sunday, June 11th.
It's Sunday, August 11th. I'm here outside Travis County Jail. My name is Imran Hafiz. I'm here with my friend Jay, who I saw get roughed up by the cops last night. So, Jay, can you tell us how you're feeling?
In this very moment, I am feeling love. I'm feeling the warmth of community. That is currently how I'm feeling. How do I feel about the actions that I wasn't down yesterday? I'm fucking pissed. I'm livid. I believe that we were, I was really arrested unjustly. That's just no question. But I also believe that we were greatly targeted for the Palestinian symbols that we were donning, and yeah, a great violation of freedom of expression and freedom of speech. So yeah, I mean, yeah, overall, I'm pretty fucking pissed. That was a sham of what you want to call pride. It's something to do with what pride is about. But yeah, in this very moment, I'm feeling love right now.
Well, it's certainly wonderful to see how the community has shown up to support you. We've got all kinds of people here that have brought the whole community right here. I'm happy to hear that it's been meaningful. But I'd like to just really nail down the facts, just for the purpose of establishing a record of what happened and when. So, you know, we've struggled in terms of how to think about starting the story, because where do you begin? 7 years ago, you know, in the end of last year. But as it pertains to the actions of last night, you know, where would you like to begin? Where do you think the story really starts?
So in terms of Israel and their pink washing, that I'm sure has been. I've been learning a lot about the history, but I'm sure that's been very relevant since the inception of the state of Israel. But yeah, so yeah, like you said, it's definitely it's gone away from my time. But yeah, I think yesterday.
So, you use this term pink washing. For a lot of people, maybe they never heard that. So, like, what does that mean, and how does it function, especially in the context of like the IOF?
Yeah. So yeah, pink washing is a term that has been used to show like Israel's way of using queer people, queer identity as a way to justify their presence in the Middle East. Basically, they try to claim they are the only state that protects and values their queer people, which is obviously not true. You can't even get married in the state of Israel as a queer. Yeah, it's just something they use. It's something that they've used to demonize and to further paint that label of terrorists onto the Palestinian people. To say, look at what they do to queer people. That's the constant. So in terms of like in the queer community, the constant battle is when you talk about Palestinian rights, Palestinian liberation. You always got that queer that's like, yeah, they protest people off the bridges or something like that. So they pick some story where there was a hate crime, there was homophobia, and they just highlight that to try and paint the Palestinian people as a whole as that. But homophobia exists everywhere, including right where we're standing. I've been threatened to get, taken out back and shot by an Uber driver right here in Austin. So like it's very prevalent right here as well. Homophobia and hate exists everywhere, and to try and use queer identity and the queer experience, as a way of justifying another community's oppression is everything that pride is not about. Pride is
Well, so I'm glad you mentioned this. That brings us like right up to the events of what happened yesterday. So yesterday was Austin's Pride Parade. An official one, I understand. There's an unofficial one known as Beer Bomb, which you told me about, which I'm really stoked to check out this year. But can you help us understand, like, what is the history of Pride, and like how does that tie into what Pride has become?
Yeah, so Pride, the queer movement, it started from the Stonewall riots. That's what sparked the gay movement. I say gay movement because the gays really just co-opted from the whole queer community. But no, queer. I didn't say queer movement because I don't like the whole thing running around rambling. I'm sleepy. But Pride was started because it was illegal to be queer. It was illegal to cross-dress. It was illegal to not conform to the binary structure that the colonization has imposed around the world, essentially. But yes, so Stonewall was a bar, is a bar, still there in New York, where queers would get together and be themselves, and police would regularly do raids of this and other places. Queer people would show up and be in a community and express themselves, and eventually the queer community got fucking tired of it, and there was a raid, just as they always did, and it sparked I believe a whole weekend of riots and a 3-day riot, which then sparked what they called a gay movement, a queer liberation movement. And that is what you see now. Every year you see these pride parades, in every city, every town, where they say they're continuing that spirit. They're continuing that I'm very lost in words right now.
No, it's okay. You've been through a lot. But as you said, it started as a riot.
Yeah. And against police brutality, essentially.
Okay.
It was a riot against police brutality, and especially like and there was a lot of like femme POC queers were the ones that really pushed that right, because obviously people of color are disproportionately targeted by police. But no, so literally Pride started as a riot against police brutality. That's what it was. That's how it started, and and it was meant for liberation for all. It was an anti-capitalist movement. It was a true liberation for all, including Palestinians, including people of color. But what you see here in Austin Pride, I think was founded like 15 years ago. It's disgusting. It's a corporate, cesspool where they market, they get their name out there, and they utilize or they exploit the queer identity and the queer community for their own personal gain. It's very white dominated.
There's definitely a lot to say about all of that, but and I'm completely with you in terms of, we've come from New York, so we've been to that street where you can literally see where they pulled the bricks out of the street to throw at the police, and that was where this started. And that just, to me, is the juxtaposition that stands out, watching you get put into the floor and rubbed against the asphalt while the Canva work float goes by, right? And seeing all these banks that are invited to come and participate.
And APD.
And of course, yes, the entire thing was effectively bounced by the APD. they took on a role, from my perspective at any rate, as like a fashion police of the gay pride, deciding who's allowed. Enough. They didn't kick me out, maybe because they saw my Aspro hat, and I think they just figured I'm allowed. But, and you know, similarly, they were letting people through in this very, can't even begin to explain how they made their determinations on who was allowed to actually come to Pride and who wasn't. But let's talk about that. So there's broader conversations to be had about the Pride movement and what it's become, but specific to the Austin Pride Parade, you know, how were you thinking about this Austin Pride like weeks before it happened? What were you doing in terms of like being ready to participate or not participate in the Pride?
I've never been to Austin Pride. I never will. I never have. It doesn't represent the queer community. So yeah, I've never attended. Yesterday was my first time ever going to corporate Austin Pride, and yeah, that's exactly why I got attend that event. And yeah, they work hand in hand with APD, which is like, you know, like we obviously mentioned, it goes against the core of what we started Pride. Yeah, so I was not planning on going. The reason I decided to attend yesterday was because of the very problematic sponsors that are in connection with the occupation in Palestine, as well as sponsors that are directly responsible for the military attack on the civilian population, the genocide. They're connected to the genocide, and so that's why I came. And then coming up like a week prior to Austin Pride coming, the parade, it got leaked that there was a meeting and all hands on deck meeting for the parade itself, where it was explicitly said, information given by the ADL, that Austin Pride claim or stated that they simply copied and pasted onto their hate speech slide, saying basically that Palestinian symbolism will not be allowed at Pride because it is equated with anti-Semitism. So that's what really, I mean, it was the sponsors, the money is the blood money is involved in Austin Pride. And then they made it very clear that queers Palestinians were not to be represented. They are not part of Pride. They made that very fucking clear. So yeah, I knew this was the year I was attending Austin Pride.
Right. And so to that end, you know, do you know if there were any efforts to try to like gently call in the Pride community and say, hey, this is wrong, like you shouldn't do this, and here's an opportunity for you to address this grievous error in terms of Pride should be inclusive for everybody, but how is a queer Palestinian supposed to feel when they're told to stand on one line or another, or they're told simply by existing, they're not allowed to participate in Pride? So do you know of any efforts that were made to try to actually address the problem directly?
They ignored us. There was an email sent out about all the sponsors. They ignored us. They had no response. There was DMs, there was emails, there was then a public reach, a public effort to get that information across to Austin Pride, and they gaslit us. They called us Trumpers. They said that we were spreading misinformation.
What was your goal at that time?
Well, our goal was to get Austin Pride to drop the sponsors. They have blood money. I mean, that goes against the core of what Pride is about. You know, it's about liberation and freeing all oppressed people. So it was it directly go against what the fuck we were here for, right?
Right.
So that was the goal, right? And they gaslit us. They didn't respond. They didn't finally start to address the concern until that picture came out. So there was proof. Because there was someone that had leaked the information on what occurred in that meeting, what was on that slide, you know, claiming the Palestinian flag was equated to anti-Semitism, and they had a person with a sign saying "No Pride in Genocide." That was it. That was apparently also anti-Semitic as well. But yeah, so we had you know, information from somebody there claiming that had occurred, and they gaslit us and told us no, that didn't occur. You're lying, you know, and then that image came out, and that's what ultimately, you know, the queer community saw it. They knew this is definitive. They knew where Austin Pride stood, and that's.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, they were able to catch these organizers in a lie.
Yeah.
Because they claim, we want to be inclusive and open to everybody. Palestinian flags are welcome, Catholics are welcome, and we've never said anything to the contrary.
Yeah.
And then a group of activists were able to find the actual receipt showing that that was absolutely not what they had said. And internally, and we know they work with the police, they had said, look, if you see anyone wearing this kind of thing, they shouldn't be allowed in because there's no tolerance for hate speech, as they called it at Pride. And then what happened? So after the queer community started becoming aware that not only did they lie, but they explicitly went out of their way to kind of copy and paste ADL, that's the Anti-Defamation League, talking points, and especially designed to conflate anti-Semitism with anti-Zionism or pro-Palestinian liberation. And what happened after that, once they started getting flack in terms of people speaking up about how wrong this is?
Yeah, so after that, they put a statement out right after that image got leaked, basically just saying, you know, throwing rainbows in the air, you know, everybody's welcome, it's a big term, everybody's welcome, no discretion, you know, blanketed, you know, we love everybody kind of talk, you know, this peace and love kind of talk, but that means nothing, those words mean nothing if it's not followed by true action that shows that, you know?
Yeah.
And so yeah, they made that statement, and that was just, I mean, the queer community saw through the gaslighting and saw through the bullshit, the washing, you know, immediately, and yeah.
Can I ask, did they at that point explicitly apologize and invite you to their pride? Did they say, hey, like, we messed up, we're sorry, anyone is welcome to wear a keffiyeh and a Palestinian flag at our pride parade?
Simply no. They didn't actually make a statement to combat what was exposed. They didn't explicitly say, you know, they never mentioned the genocide. I haven't seen the word Palestine even mentioned from their mouths. It was very like there was no like clear the air, you know, Palestinian symbolism is allowed at Pride. That wasn't explicitly said until the day. No, actually, scratch that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, as far as I'm concerned, what I remember is seeing a post from the official Pride saying, we messed up, everyone is welcome to bring flags and to wear a keffiyeh, everyone is welcome at Pride.
All flags will be welcome.
All flags are welcome. Yeah, so even if they didn't mention Palestine in particular, under all, you know, what I'm trying to point out is that from my perspective, wearing my keffiyeh, I fully expected to be allowed to participate as my full self and my full identity at Austin Pride, given what they had committed. They got caught in a lie, then they didn't do anything about it until they got public flack. And once that happened, then they like at least gestured towards some kind of apology and making some commitment to make changes. And really the big question everyone's wondering is, were those changes made? You know, did Austin Pride live up to the commitments that it made? And did they let people in all of their fullness, allowing themselves to hold up a trans pride flag as well as a Palestinian flag? How, in your experience, how did the police react to that?
Well, yeah, I mean, as we saw yesterday, I mean, clearly, it wasn't explicitly communicated. I guess
Basically, where the police time did the police let in people wearing keffiyehs and holding Palestine flags?
obviously no. Like, yeah, cause I guess I'm getting this not right.
For those that are watching, like, I'm trying to explain what actually happened. Like,
No, it was clear. So they let me go by. They let me walk past them. So yeah. So like, no, it was very much like, yeah, like what you call it, dress police. You know, it was very clear that they were targeting people that were donning Palestinian symbols for Palestine, and immediately like in front of them, between them, they didn't stop. Folks were told that they also needed to move to where we were being held. I don't know what to say. My mind is not.
yeah, well, it was a confusing situation. I mean, people didn't know if they were being detained, if they were allowed, you know, to participate or not. And that's basically what I want to try and highlight is, you know, from my perspective, Austin Pride has said, wow, we realized we made a big mistake and we commit to making changes. And instead of showing up and seeing those changes were made, it was actually the exact opposite. From my perspective, it seemed like anybody that had both queer pride as well as the broadest sense of queer pride, in the sense that none of us is free until we're all free, right? Those people were deemed by the APD to be. Well, what was her quote in jail about what happened? Like when you actually arrived, what did you tell people when they asked what do you think?
simply just charged with this guy. What did I tell people when I was in there? I told them I was too gay for Pride. That was what I got. Because Pride is like you mentioned, a full liberation for all people. And yeah, clearly I was my definition of all people was too broad, right? It was for everybody, not for everybody. It was some, and I stick that out to the Palestinian people. And clearly that was clearly AP. I got you. Sorry.
No, nothing to apologize.
I'm usually more
Nailed it.
A-game on my words, but
You got the quote. The quote
Yeah,
is good.
that's great. And look, I'd say we're wrapping up here, but I just want to, I want to ask you, how does it make you feel, in all of your identities, to be treated in this way at a parade that is ostensibly for you?
It's disgusting. It's disgusting. I mean, like, from the inception, Austin Pride and FDP represented the queer movement, the Austin Pride, the Austin queer community. So Austin Pride is from its inception was deemed words.
Capitalist,
Yeah.
for sale, sold out.
My words ain't getting today. I'm sorry.
You're giving us a lot. You're doing great.
Okay, good. Because I don't feel like I
We're
am.
we'll fix it in
on
post.
the
Don't worry.
contrary. Yeah.
And you've given us a lot of good shit.
Yeah.
I have one question to add. If
You can ask
Yeah,
that
yeah,
again,
Becky.
because I'd like to if you ask it another way, I might go to say
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So my question is just like, what would it have looked like if Pride had responded in like a reasonable way that one might expect, like reasonable people to respond to criticism from someone trying to call you it? Like, how could they have nailed it if their response to us?
Yeah. So the question is, what would it have taken them to do to not have this kind of outcome?
I mean, drop the blood money. That's the meat of it. They make it very clear that no sponsors, no floats from those sponsors would be allowed. They say that their hands were tied. They couldn't return the money. Blah blah blah. Corporate talk. I don't really care, but whatever. At the very fucking least, don't let those companies run. Don't let them be part of the parade. Take their money. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just like, it's just a whole lot of corporate talking out of the side of your mouth type of shit. So it's just like, yeah, I mean, look, those floats should have been there. APD should not have the strong presence that they have. That's something the queer community since its inception has addressed with Austin Pride. More representation. But no, I mean, also making it very clear that, like explicitly saying that symbols of Palestine is allowed. They couldn't even say that in their posts. They couldn't even mention the word Palestine. They just said all flags were allowed. It's like, it's just they need to make a hard statement. That's the thing about these corporate entities. They can't make hard statements. They can't really stand. They stand for nothing. They really do. All they really stand for is money and a good image. That's really all that matters to them. So. Yeah, and they obviously didn't do that. So even though they made that apology, it was still on go mode. The plan was still just as it was the day before. They were pulling up to show Austin Pride, but the fuck Pride is actually about.
Right. So, I mean, do you think people would have more fun at a justice-oriented prides?
I mean, it's more inclusive. Everyone is allowed. I mean, I swear I would be there every year. You know what I mean? I've been to Queer Bomb a couple times, and I've loved it. So
Yeah.
it's like, obviously, right?
It's possible.
It's for everybody.
Yeah.
It's truly for everybody.
So what would your advice be then? Because I know Austin, we have Pride sometimes out of cycle with like other cities. So what would your advice then be to performers, Pride organizers, or even Pride goers in other cities? What can they learn from us, and how can they adjust their plans in order to ensure that everybody is welcomed at Pride all across the country? And how can we include queer Palestinians and in all of their fullness, given that there's sometimes these kind of structural issues, right? Do you recommend people to organize and get together and try to do what you did? Do you recognize, are there any kind of initial thoughts that you might have that we could learn from the benefit of your experience?
So as for like the Pride organizations around the country that preach on it but don't actually walk the walk, all I can say to them is simply listen to your community. Like, listen to the queers that are telling you why they're upset, why they don't understand, why they don't see their org or their Pride event as authentic, right? So like to those pride orgs, you know, like Austin Pride, listen to the queer community. They've given you everything, you know, like you know the you know there's been so much. I mean, fuck, there's been so many, you know, you know, there's been so much. Community feedback, right? You know, like, you know, people have explicitly say why they're not comfortable with part of Pride. People have explicitly say what, like, you know, the lack of representation of other queer communities, right? You know, like something that just is just in my mind right now is there was a that was in last year's March, you know, and we had a drag queen here that called them out on their shit, and Michael, the president, called them out. It's like that's the response. They're like they don't even like so like yeah, just listen to your community. As for the actual queers, the queer community themselves, yeah, organize against it. Start your own fucking pride. Like move on, you know, like do your own shit. And yeah, and if you're feeling so up for it, go show these corporate orgs what the fuck pride's really about, you know, because we're not gonna wait for them to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Marsha didn't wait for white gays to figure it out. She picked up that fucking brick and she threw it. You know what I'm saying? So. Pick up whatever. Is it a megaphone? Is it your fist? Is it a sign? Pick it up and fucking throw it.
Wonderful. Well, Jay, thank you so much.
A few just the facts questions. How long
Yeah.
were you in for?
I was arrested at like 8:30. I got out at 7. So whatever that is.
23 hours.
I was over 24 hours. I was in there.
What are your injuries?
Yeah, I have a very rough road rash on my shoulder. Not dislocated, but it's definitely, I have some chronic pain, so a lot of that's flaring up right now. I have wrist pain from previous arrest where they assaulted me in there, exactly like I said. So yeah, I mean, I have some chronic pain, but other than that, I mean, I'm really fine today. And overall, how do I feel? My spirits couldn't be higher. I'm high off the love of the people, and I'm high off of liberation for all, real pride. You know what I'm saying?
Leslie said fuck APD. Leslie is talk about Leslie. I was a trans activist here, ran for mayor, and the cops ended up killing him.
Yeah, I don't know about Leslie.
Yeah, Leslie Cochran was famous.
I'm all for
Yeah, he was a friend of mine.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been going on a long time. That's why the pride community shouldn't be working with APD, because APD doesn't treat people that are queer, trans, bi. They don't treat them very well.
Yeah.
Despite pretending to, which I think is part of the issue. Like
rainbows
they had like on some of the police cops, they had rainbows painted on their butts.
Uh-huh.
APD had the pride flag waving outside of their headquarters for the whole month.
That's how they co-opt movements. That's what they planned. They did it. They funded it. They had Charles Lewson, get involved. Now he's in the anti-homeless group. He's with the homeless czar. So they got these people that co-opt all these groups and say, oh, we have gay cops, so we're for you, but they're not really for us.
Right.
It's all PR because they want to get funded. That's all it is. They want to get funded.
Right. So then, what is your message really to the Austin people about what happened? Like, how can we hold the assistants accountable and ensure that this never happens again?
Look through the bullshit. Look through their corporate lies. They only care about their image and money. We really understand that. We know that all of this really means nothing. If the action doesn't follow, like I don't care what you say. I don't care that you say all flags are allowed, videos are allowed. Make a statement on the prize saying explicitly that you will not have that money, or any money that is connected to the oppression of any people, right? And that's really what pride's about. Yeah, it's awesome pride. As a pride community here in Austin, just keep being yourself and remember what the fight is really about. And none of us are really free, so all of us are free.
Would you like an apology?
It wouldn't mean anything. So I mean, I guess if they feel so to open their mouth and spit more garbage out. But no, I want to see the money out of it. That's the meat of it. That's a side dish. Apology, just like the statement they released, it's a side dish. That's nothing. That's why I pulled up with the rage that I had yesterday. Because it really means nothing. So no, all of the money. Disconnect it all. Also, I think since 2021, it's no longer nonprofits. So what the
Corporation.
fuck is that, right? Why is your structure a structure that's built for revenue? It's supposed to be like, upholding bringing the queer community together.
Well,
yeah.
in any
I know,
case,
man.
Jay, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your thoughts. You've been through so much. And we can continue this conversation.
Hell yeah. I'm gonna get some rest, smoke some weed.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And cut. Nicely done.
Take care.
Hell yeah.
Cool. Do a quick portrait.